I got some life updates, but I've also got something I want to share with you. There's a lot going on. I'm moving in about a month, a lot sooner than I'd realized, but I wanted to share something with y'all, and hopefully it makes sense. I want to share a quote from one of my favorite movies, Dogma. Now, just a heads up, I'm not a religious fellow. Never have been. Religion didn't work out for me. Unfortunately, I did not find hope in it. Instead, I found more despair than anything. But in the movie Dogma, famously directed and written by Kevin Smith, there's an exchange that I want to share with you in case you've never seen it. If you've never seen it, I definitely recommend it. In the movie, there is a woman chosen to save the planet. And she's accompanied by two prophets, Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, Jay and Silent Bob, as well as some angels. It's Armageddon. Metatron, one of the high angels, the voice of God, basically, is having an exchange with her, and that's what I want to share with you. So, Bethany is why. Why the fuck do you want from me? She flails her arms in anger. I fucking hate you. I hate you. Metatron says, he can't hear you, you know. That's why we needed you. She's trying to talk to God, but he's not there. But he said, why didn't you tell me? Metatron, could you have believed me? It was something you had to come to gradually. Only after accepting everything you've seen, everything you've heard, could you possibly be able to accept the truth, which is the weight of her destiny. Spoilers, she is a descendant of Jesus, basically. Bethany's, I don't want this. It's too big. Metatron, that's what Jesus said. I had to tell him, and you can imagine how that hurt the Father, not be able to tell the Son himself, because one word from his lips would destroy the boy's frail human form. Nobody can hear the true voice of God. Metatron has to speak for him. So I had to deliver the news to a scared child who wanted nothing more than to play with other children. I had to tell this little boy that he was God's only son, and that it meant a lifetime of persecution and eventual crucifixion at the hands of the very people he'd come to enlighten and redeem. He begged me to take it all back, as if I could. He begged me to make it all not true, and let you in on something, and something I've never told anyone before. If I had the power, I would have. It's unfair. It's unfair to ask a child to shoulder that responsibility. It's unfair to ask you to do the same. I sympathize. I do. I wish I could take it all back, but I can't. This is who you are. Bethany says, everything I am has been a lie? Ezra, no. Knowing who you are now doesn't mean you aren't who you were. You're Bethany Sloan. No one can take that away from you, not even God. All this means is a redefinition of that identity, the incorporation of this new data into who you are. Be who you've always been. Just be this as well from time to time. Bethany, I guess this means no more cheating on my taxes. Metatron, to say the least. Here's the deal. This scene always stuck with me. It always did. Mainly that one line of, no one can take that away from you. All this means is a redefinition of that identity. The incorporation of new data into who you are. Be who you've always been. It's funny, in life, there are times, especially if you're nostalgic and concentrate on the past a lot, such as I do, and I have, you kind of get it in your head that you want to go back. You want to go back to times when they were simpler. You want to go back to times that were easier, more comfortable. But the truth is you can't. There are moments that'll feel familiar to it. You'll feel security in it, but you can't go back. And this whole exchange also brings up, and I rewatched it the other night, and it got me thinking, it brings up my childhood. Things I've been through. I mean, you guys may or may not know the story for those watching, but I was a child of abuse. It has been a rough road the last few years since those memories popped up on me and fucked up my life. My divorce, my dad passing, my sister being locked up. There's been a lot of bullshit that's happened in the last few years that I did not in any way, shape, or form ever assume was going to happen. Nor could I ever have. My 20s were pretty decent, you know. I had a pretty decent 20s. I guess kind of mediocre by some standards, but you know what? I'm a great guy that loves to be mediocre. I am a very lukewarm fellow. I mean, I've done things in my life and I've been through things in my life that not a whole lot of people have. And luckily, it's benefited more people than it's benefited myself. But I've reached a point in my life where benefiting myself is actually happening. And that's what leads me to this next part. There's a lot happening for me right now. Hey, Blue, how you doing, man? Good to see you. There's a lot happening for me right now. I'm fixing to move. I'm relocating earlier than I thought here on August 1st. Getting a new place. It's a little higher rent than I wanted to pay, but it's doable. Moving to Dallas. Moving back to the big city. I have an at-home job. Hey, Florence. How you doing, man? I just started an at-home job a couple of days ago, which is going really well. I'm working for a decent company. The position I'm in is kind of stressful, but I'm working at home. You know, I'm working in front of the computer. I'm doing everything. I don't have to deal with a whole lot of social anxiety, which I do have. I'm still being looked at for. They're currently looking at me right now for ADHD as well as autism, off and on. That'll be continuing later next year. Until then, it's just a struggle, you know. But I know myself, and I've relearned myself over the past few years. I've incorporated new data into the old me. It's funny, there was a time in my life when I went through my childhood abuse and when everything popped up on me and it shook my foundations. It shook who I was. Everything, every single thing about me felt like a lie. Like I wasn't anything. I was just this amalgamation of pain, hurt, and abuse, and betrayal by loved ones. But that was a lie as well. You know, you go through a lot of stuff in life. I mean, you go through a lot of hurt, you go through a lot of pain, joy, a lot of things. Life is hell, but it's also heaven. And I think that's, you know, that's one of the things that makes things easier is when you accept that fact. A lot of people tend to think of life in extremes, that it's one or the other. The truth is, life is a gray area. You will have extremes from time to time. But for the most part, life is something to be enjoyed, to work through, and to develop. You are who you are. Nobody can take that away from you. Not an abuser, not a god, nobody. You are who you are. And one thing I've learned is it's best to own it. Own who you are. What makes you, you? And I hit the mic. What makes me me is that I love streaming. I love engaging with people on the internet because I tend to have a bit of social anxiety. I'm very awkward around people. But I have found enjoyment in doing this kind of stuff that a whole lot of people don't understand, but that doesn't really matter. And it's part of the reason why I've avoided relationships because I'm still trying to develop myself. I've also been distant with friendships at this point in my life, but I promised myself by age 40, I'm 36. I promised myself by age 40 that I would try to be back to a normal social standard. I owe that to myself. I owe it to society because I am a great guy. I have a lot of great ideas. I have a lot of passion to share with people, not just on streaming, but in real life as well. And to friends, to future associates, maybe a future partner. I don't know. You know, I'm not really worried about that. I'm still growing myself, and that's the other important point is that this all starts with you. This all started with me. And you got to develop your life. You know, you can't live in a shell. I mean, if it's needed, it's needed. But at some point, you got to step out of it. And that's essentially what's about to happen to me. And again, it leads back to real life updates. So, all that aside, I'm moving on August 1st. This is going to interrupt streams, probably for a week or two, until I get settled in. My new job obviously relies on the internet, so I've got to get the internet on, I've got to get the electric on, I got to get the place settled. I'm going to be on the first floor. It's one of the nicest apartments I've ever had. It's also one of the most expensive, to be honest. But I've got a decent job at the moment. I'm still going to make it through training, but I'm doing good. Knock on wood. I'm looking at great insurance for myself. I've got a car that's paid off, thanks to my parents. There's a lot that is happening for me, and honestly, it's kind of scary. And I'll tell you why it's scary if it's silent. You've got all these good things happening. Why the hell would that be scary? My life has not been the easiest. Nobody's ever really is. But what I mean by my personal reality, in the past, whenever good things have happened, equally, if not worse, bad things tend to follow. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure what to expect with that. The only thing I know is that I've got to fight for myself. I've got to better myself. I've got to better my situation, my reality, much as we all need to do. And it's crazy how these things happen. But that seems to be the pattern of my life. Now, is that pattern broken because of what's been sacrificed the last couple of years with losing my dad, with my sister being locked up, with all the childhood bullshit I realized I went through, with my divorce? I hope that's enough sacrificial parts of my reality to, give me or let me keep something for a while. I hope, but yeah, I can't let that stop me, I can't let that stop me from giving myself good things, from living myself a good life. If that shit happens, you just got to go with it and fight it. Fight as much as you can against it. It may be inevitable. It may be inevitable for me, but you've got to keep trying. You've got to keep trying. Unfortunately, for some people, it's a lifelong struggle, whatever it may be. Rather, it's reality pushing back on you, while it's your own mind messing with you. It's people coming at you in a negative way. Living a lifestyle that doesn't exactly allow you to be a better person. But I owe it to myself. You owe it to yourself to keep going, to keep trying, to keep fighting, to keep on trucking, as it were, as cliche as hell as that sounds. It's just not easy. Life, living in this universe, in this reality, is not easy. At a young age, if somebody were to come to you and just say, life is bullshit, instead of feeding you fairy tales, instead of all this and that, but it's probably not the best way to do it, but I think it would have helped me, at least a little bit. Because as a kid, I was told fairy tales, I was told different things and the way things would be if I lived a certain lifestyle. And it was the total opposite. It was a hardcore reality check. But that was my life. And that's not to speak for other lives. Everybody has a different life. And you make of it what you will and what you can. I think that's what counts the most. But it would have helped me a whole lot personally if I wasn't put, and I did it to myself, but also other people did it to me, if I wasn't put in a bubble. I was living in a bubble for so long, up through my 20s, until that bubble burst, and reality hit me all in one swoop. To what I lived through, what I survived, what happened to me. I was in total denial of what happened to me, of the life I was in, of the reality I was surviving in. I was so much in denial of being a survivor, of being a victim, that I had to create my own role. I had to fight to survive and play this guy that, parts of me that weren't really me, and it caused me so much conflict mentally. It's ridiculous how this stuff fucks with you. It's insane. And part of my story has also hit my sister. I mean, it messed up my sister too. Um, but we each choose our own life path, and luckily, I'm wiser beyond my years. Sometimes more than I realize. But my downfall tends to be putting that into practice, the experience and the wisdom I have. But I'm learning better ways to do that, and not just acting on impulse and emotion. You know, I'm the type that I have to have a plan, and I can see that plan through, big time. But I also can't stretch myself too thin. I have a bad habit of doing that, especially with streaming, especially with work, people, friends, and caring, and I give a lot, man. I really do. I give a lot, but I've had to watch it. I've had to stagger it a little bit, and that's a life lesson I've learned. So anyway, there's a lot in store for me with this new job, this new place coming up, with new games coming out. But with that, I guess the moral of this whole vlog is keep on going. Make good things happen for you. Fight for it. Work for it. We're not really entitled to anything. I think if we're entitled to anything, it's being able to be who we are, whoever that may be. However you identify, however you live, however you have your beliefs, ideals, ideas, don't let anybody ever stop you, even yourself, because you can be your own worst enemy. You can sabotage your own life without realizing it. So, think things through, try to be stable, and if you need help, get help. It's okay to get help. I can be pretty proud and stubborn, but I've learned it's okay to get help, especially medical help if you need it, family help, friendly help. I'm still working on the whole social thing. I'm still working on the whole friendships thing. I used to be really good about that stuff in my early 20s, but then I got married, and things changed. To be honest, I invested a lot in my wife emotionally and socially. It's funny when you're married, your partner, your spouse, if the situation's right, becomes your only friend, your only best friend. And I don't really think that's healthy. I wouldn't say that's healthy. So if you ever get married, or if you are married, have more friends than your spouse. Don't put everything on them. Don't rely on them for everything socially or friend-wise. Try to have one or two friends, even if you only have a small circle. If you're that kind of person like I am, it's okay to do that. And in my opinion, the healthiest thing you can do. But that was one of my mistakes. I gambled a lot with my marriage internally, and unfortunately, it paid off in some ways. But for the majority, the house won. I was a broken man a lot, among other things. Not just the marriage, but there was other stuff. But the marriage was a big part of it because I had high hopes. And it's not to say it wasn't a good time of my life. We had our great moments, but reflecting on it, it hit me pretty hard. So it's just some more advice. But anyway, I've been streaming for about 18 minutes. A bit of a live vlog for you guys. Florence stopped by, Blue stopped by. There's a lot of great things happening. And again, earlier than I thought, so streams are going to be interrupted. I'll do a channel update video, but I also wanted to put this on the channel in case it helps anybody. To recap, like I said, nothing in life, well, very few things in life are easy. But overall, it's worth it. It's worth the struggle, especially for yourself. You got to get yourself right before you can really help anybody else. And, you're worth it. I'm worth it. I've faced a lot of dark challenges, and I can only hope that you guys can do the same and make your way through it. We all have our dark times. We all face our inner demons, our inner darkness, There's an old philosophy that there's a light and dark in everybody. And I believe that. So, hey, Stan, Olivia, how you guys doing? I'm Mayor Watson. Good to see you, Olivia. I appreciate you hanging out. It's good to see you guys tonight. Doing good, man. Doing good. I actually had a full day of work. I'm still in training, but I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of good things happening for me, so I appreciate y'all. I always appreciate the support and you guys popping in, saying hey. But I hope you guys had a good day and are having a good night. We're back tomorrow night with at dead of night. We are going to be taking on Jimmy again. We're making progress. I think we're almost done with the first ghost, so we're making our way through it. It's going to be a longer playthrough than I realized, but that's all right. You guys know how I am about games like that. It's a bit of a learning curve, you know, especially for somebody like me. So I'd say it'll be easier, a lot easier, over the next year or two as I'm being assessed mentally to see what's going on up here. Obviously bipolar, but I suspect, and I've been told so far that I am potentially on the. This is nothing new to regular viewers, but I'm suspect to be on the on the mental scale, basically autism or ADHD. They're apparently via my online doctor anyway. ADHD is more likely than autism, but they're not entirely sure. So HFA, high functioning autism. So we'll find out, but I'll keep you guys up to date on that, obviously. And if you guys ever know anybody that struggles with something mentally, depression, anxiety, bipolar, diagnosed, whatever, autism, you know, try to be accepting of that. I know we've talked about this before, but you know, if you see anybody in public that might be, just let them be. You know, don't stare. Don't if you're gonna engage with them, be friendly. You know, be nice to them. Trust me, somebody with mental difficulties trying to process reality is struggle enough without people making it worse for them. And unfortunately, our society can be very unaccepting of those that are not like others. It sucks, but that's the truth of the matter. Hey, Zion, good to see you, man. But you guys, listen, my community, we've had a few bad apples, but you guys have been fucking awesome. You guys have been awesome. Very welcoming, very awesome, very open. And I appreciate every single one of you. And I expect the highest out of you when it comes to respecting people. So, you know, I love y'all. And hopefully everything's going good for you. You deserve it. You deserve it. And keep going. Keep fighting for it. Keep struggling if you have to. It will pay off eventually, even if you have to do it numerous times. You'll get there. Whatever you're trying to do in life, whatever you're trying to achieve, you'll get there. I promise. As long as it's not world domination. If you're going after world domination, I have to stop you right there because that's my role. That's my gig. And by the age of 60, I plan to rule most of Europe and the United States. Okay? Just a heads up. So, be expecting that within the next 20 years. Who knows? But no, seriously, man, I love you guys. And I just wanted to pop in here, share some thoughts, as I usually do. And for those who have been hanging out, thank you guys. A big shout out to Zion, Stan, Olivia, Florence, Blue. It's good to see y'all. And again, I hope you had a good day. For now, though, I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. We're back tomorrow night. And I'll see you guys then, all right? Peace. A little bit of a quick vlog. I enjoyed that.